of the week. Record of the week.
Tonight's top tune, Répondez-moi, comes from Garden State and Swiss singer John's Tears. Répondez-moi, I don't know how quite to say that, but it's from their debut album Inspirations.
This is Group Therapy.
Brand new on Anjuna Deep, that was Leaving Laura with Need Little, Want Less. In further Anjuna Deep news, the release parties for James and Jodie's Anjuna Deep 11 begin next week, but the duo will be celebrating in LA and San Francisco. San Francisco is sold out, but you can still join the gents in LA at Sound on Thursday the 23rd for an open to close set. After that, they'll be heading to London, Dubai and a newly announced show in Prague. Details on all those dates can be found at anjunadeep.com/anjunadeep11. Right then, it's time to push the button.
Push the button.
Push the button.
I am great. If this all worked, it's a miracle. Hopefully you can hear us, and hopefully we're going well. This is our very first one. Very excited to see how this all goes, and excited to bring a few new things to the broadcasting space. We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, the Locked On Lads on Facebook, on Twitch, and Locked On Lads YT on YouTube. So thank you everyone who's watching us. We're very excited. We've been playing with ATVO right up until 2 seconds ago, getting things sorted. We are live, and thank you, Carl. This is the first time I get to commentate with you. First time I get to commentate at all, but to do it with you is an absolute honour. So, mate, what do we expect? Actually, no. I want to know what's happened in the off season. What's the new stuff that's happening in ANZCAR Thunder? You're on mute. That's not good. Is at no sound for wheat. No. This is what I like to call an issue. Okay, so I'm going to fix that, and we're going to go. That's why. Now they can hear you, mate. Let's start again. Let's just roll it again.
Let's just restart everything. Hello, everybody, and welcome to ANZCAR Thunder for 2022. We are here on our new home of Locked On Lads, Locked On to TV. Thankfully, they have given us a home where we can broadcast all of the fantastic racing action for the Xfinity Series for 2022. Joining me in the booth, as you may have heard before, is Mr. Peter Wilson-Wilkinson. How you going, Peter?
I'm great, mate. Let's do this all over again. I am extremely good. We're just going through some technical issues. I'm also trying to organize the guys that are doing the podcast without me tonight, right now, in the other Discord, and I'm just trying to get all that sorted out as well. So at this stage, I'm being told about sound levels. I'm trying to produce. I'm trying to commentate. It's all good. But yes, Locked On Lads TV is launching right now. So thank you everyone who is watching us on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch, like I just mentioned before. Locked On Lads on Facebook, Locked On Lads on Twitch, and Locked On Lads YT on the old YouTube. We are just seeing some action. We're 3 minutes out from the end of practice in Thunder for ANZCAR Season 1. Now, things happen in the off season. You had no broadcast. We've been talking about broadcasting for a long time, and I've obviously been throwing hints around commentating for a long time. It all seemed to align into one thing, and we are here live doing Locked On Lads TV for the first time ever. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Carl, for being part of the team and joining us, and thank you for joining me in commentary tonight. I'm going to stuff up so much, and you're going to make me look great. What is happening in the off season though, in ANZCAR itself and the Thunder series in particular? Take it away.
In the off-season, I mean, not a huge amount has happened. There's been a couple of changes with the license system. So now, with the licenses, it used to be open, free for all for everybody through all the series. The trucks remains pretty much unchanged. With the Thunder series, it now is a C license, I think.
Sounds pretty good, because I'm pretty sure B is for Cup class. So
yes, and B is for Cup. I should know this stuff being part
how
of the
do I know
admin
this
team.
and you don't, Carl? Come on.
Well, I don't pay attention to things during the off season. I just talk. That's my living. But there has been that slight change just to make it so people, just so they've got a little bit more experience on the actual ovals, just to make sure everybody's ready to go. Of course, Thunder is still part of the feeder series. Now, we've also had a bit of a change due to some controversy through the off season involving a thing called a macro. I don't think anybody's ever heard that term before.
Not now, until we brought it up on the podcast, and
Exactly.
now everyone wants to talk about it.
Exactly. And of course, that controversy was pretty big. So with that, we've now got an open garage setup effectively, similar to what real life NASCAR has, a full metal racing. So we can actually share telemetry, show the telemetry from the cars, and make sure that everybody's doing the right thing effectively. So that's just to make sure that everybody's keeping within the rules and the spirit of the sport. Obviously, not too much gain on the super speedways, things like that, but on some of the short tracks, then that's where it can come in. And of course, the road racing itself. But we will be checking it every single race just to make sure everybody's keeping within the rules. I guess the other change as well is you can now see me, which is a terrible thing. So now people know what I look like. I do apologise for that in advance.
Yeah, that's my fault. Sorry.
Yeah. All Peter's fault. But of course, as I say, the other big change is we've moved here to Locked On Lads TV. We've got the Thunder here, and of course, with the Cup itself, that will be over on Performance e-streaming. So we are back on old Performance e-streaming, but tonight it's all about the Thunder, and that's the main thing. We are here at Daytona for our traditional kickoff track that is 63 years old, I think, from memory.
Sounds about
It's
right.
an
I was
old,
going to get
old
all the stuff organized so I could, throw something intelligent at you while you sip tea and make myself sound smart, but I forgot. I've been too busy getting this overlay done. So yes.
The trouble is now everybody knows my secret when I'm in broadcast. I'm busy just drinking lots and lots of tea. That's how I get through a broadcast.
Gee, Carl's quiet. Oh no, he's just drinking tea. Now, can I quickly stop you? We had the clash last week, right? I saw the picture overlay of the clash over the top of Daytona. Now, 5 LA Coliseums fit length to length in Daytona.
Yes, that's not really a surprise, is it? I mean, the LA Coliseum is about as big as a NASCAR. So it is a tiny track, and this is going to be the first time we're seeing the cars on a proper track this season. I mean, obviously, the LA Coliseum, one of the shortest tracks NASCAR's ever been to. Not the shortest track from memory, but it is very much a short track as practice wraps up here. But we are here at Daytona, and as I say, the kickoff for Thunder, of course, Thunder didn't get to run at the Coliseum. So maybe in the future we might do a little event for them. But right now we are getting the qualifying kicked off. So as is tradition, it is a single car setup. So only the one car is going to be out on track. If you've never seen the oval side of racing before, if you've not watched NASCAR before, well, first of all, welcome. But second of all, we do a single car qualifying, so nobody gets affected by the draft, which is a huge influence here on a track like Daytona.
Yeah, it definitely is. So we're going to go on board with some. We've got Wade Sheedy here. Can you... I always love you talking through a lap of Daytona. Now, we're not actually... you're not going to have to put up with us during the broadcast, seeing us live talk, because we're not the actual main thing of this. We're actually the back bit. It'll be a proper looking broadcast, so don't stress about that. But I've got Wade Sheedy out in the background. He's coming around one of the back corners here, about to head around to the main straight. But take us through a lap of what kind of pressures, what kind of little things people can do to get that extra tenth of a second that they need at Daytona.
So first of all, the second lap's usually the faster lap because you're going to build up speed as you go around Daytona. It is a huge track. We've got a track length of, what is it? I can't remember off the top of my head now. 2.5 miles in length, so 4 and a bit kilometers. So getting up to speed takes a while in these cars. Getting up to speeds of 280, 290 kilometers per hour as well. So not talking slow speeds here. It's all about getting it right on the corner as well. You want to get the corners perfect. You don't want to carry too much height in the corner because that's going to lose you a little bit of speed. Running up right to the edge of the wall, for instance, will just cost you a little bit of speed because you've got to go up that hill. Now, the banking on this track is ridiculous. If you try to actually climb it walking on, their hind legs, you would fall over effectively. It's that tall. So this is going to be the fast lap for Wade. So coming up to the start-finish line here, you want to cut down a little bit. Try and cut the track as short as possible as well. And you'll probably see on the second lap, he'll go possibly just a little bit below the yellow line on this qualifying lap. Of course, in the race, you can't do that. Keeping low is important. You're going to be using the centrifugal force of the oval to keep as much speed as possible. So effectively, if these cars don't have much downforce, the way it works is they get squashed down on the actual track because of the banking itself. On the straight here, coming up to turns 3 and 4 now. Again, just flat out through this whole track, keeping your foot glued to the floor. And it's just a matter of picking the right spot to turn the wheel. You don't want to put too much input in there. You don't want to be soaring away at the steering wheel because that will cause you to lose speed. So just gently around the steering wheel is what you want to do. And now coming up to the start-finish line, cutting down, possibly leaving a little bit of room there at the bottom, not taking as much line as possible. Jumps to the top of the timesheet straight away ahead of Lachlan Urquio with a 50.59. That will be a relatively good lap there for Wade. We'll see if anybody can beat that. And indeed, Hamish Gallagher and Neil Pearson straight away beat that one. 50.579 for Hamish Gallagher, currently on pole and the reigning season champion as well.
Now, I want to get some commentator's curse going from you. I think I've got my audio a little bit higher than yours, but we're trying to work that out as we go on the fly. So let us know if there is any problems in chat. Saw McDad, thank you for pulling us up on that. I will try and get it. But what's your predictions? We've got Thunder. We've got all these really good cars. Like we're seeing names like Micklemore, Traher, Gallagher, Pearson, as you said before, Dyson, all these kind of Urquio, all these big names. We've got a whole heap of fresh names as well. What do you expect out of tonight?
Look, Daytona is a bit of a lottery. It's the track where the big one often happens, a bit like Talladega as well, or super speedway. So you're always watching out for that big accident. It's keeping the car clean and keeping it out of trouble is one of the most important things. One driver to watch out for tonight is going to be Dylan O'Shea, new to the series. Dylan is new to ANZCAR and part of the DPR group as well. So one of those cars that's got a lot of drivers around them. People like Neil Pearson, Andrew Dyson, all of those drivers all in that group. And there's going to be a lot of drivers to help out in that respect. So keep an eye out on Dylan O'Shea. Hamish Gallagher as well, one of the, obviously reigning champion. He's going to be pretty good. It's going to be hard for him to. He's got to really do a lot of pressure on Hamish this season. I think that's going to be one of the big things. I'll tell you who's going to be one to watch out for, though. One of the drivers I'm expecting to see well is going to be Maddie Ray. Maddie Raymond, probably not going to qualify, going to start way towards the back of the grid, but he tends to keep the car as clean as possible and will work his way through the field. And towards the end of the race, we may well see Maddie Ray up there fighting for the lead of the pack.
I was like starting from the back of the grid. That was the one thing I did notice when I raced in the Thunder last year. So let's move on to the gridding. We're going to actually go to transition to the actual race. So bye-bye, everyone. You're not going to have to put up with watching us anymore, so we'll catch you soon. But transition into the actual feed. Let's get rid of that. It worked. Cool. And let's bring up the grid. Can we actually work out how much that difference is between O'Shea and Gallagher? Is it officially a dead heat?
It's officially a dead heat. Yeah, cool. Officially an absolute dead heat between them. Gallagher got it by setting the time first. Okay. So there might be a couple of millionths in it, but I don't have that on this screen, unfortunately. Okay. I had it on my previous one, not on this screen, sadly.
Actually, there is a 1,000th of a second in there. I'm looking on the grid screen now, 579 and 580. So very well done. So you want to go through the grid and I'll see if I can press buttons and see if it works.
Yeah, let's get through the starting grid. So up on the front row, we have Hamish Gallagher and Dylan O'Shea. Second row is Patton and Sheedy. Third row, we have Jaeger and Clark. Fourth is Carol Walden and Skurlock. Fifth row, we have Russell and Urquio. Sixth is Turner and Trahere. Seventh row, we have Micklemore and Lifberg. Eighth row is Spencer Douglas. Ninth is Dortnack and Nakervis.
I can't keep up with you, mate. Slow down.
10th row is Knight and Phelps. 11th row, Dyson and Clark. Dyson and Williams. 12th is Clark and Marshall. 13th is Georgeson Hoppett. 14th is May and Campbell. 15th, we have Dylan and Weston. 15th is Schroeder and Koch. 16th is Danny G and Allison. 17th, we have Finley Raymond. 18th is Hobbs and Wellman.
Okay, I've got not showing up. I think I've got some problems in the background.
Okay, and then towards the back, Matty Hunter, Kate Donnelly, Glenn McLeod, and Noddy Tompkin ran out the field.
You're going to quickly see some stuff. Sorry, everyone. I'm sure I set this up beforehand. Okay, it's the replay that's the problem. That might not take effect, but I apologize. That is something that I need to work on. So let's get off, let's hide the grid. Let's get into the actual timing board, which we've got up for tonight. And let me show Carl what I'm actually doing so he can keep up with what's going on. So there you go. How long till the first crash, mate?
Well, it's always hard to say. I mean, if we get round that first lap without any incident, then we could be looking at a nice race of around about 12 laps before we see that caution flag come out. The first couple of laps are always the most dangerous laps here because cold tyres, everybody getting up to speed, everybody getting used to things as well. There's a lot of new names out there as well, so drivers are going to be watching out for that. That can take you by surprise sometimes. You don't always expect some of the new drivers to be as aggressive as they are, and some of them are a little bit too aggressive. So there's always those little things that come into effect. I'm going to go lap 5 for my caution.
You lap 5? I'm going lap 2. Oh, actually, no, I'm not racing tonight, so it'll probably be lap 4. Let's go with that one. Here we go. Pace car's away, so let's get down and let's have a look from the nose. Let's get right in there. And my dog's going off in the background.
We are green for the 2022 season here for Thunder. It is Hamish Gallagher leading away. Dylan O'Shea, 2 packs forming. Going to see that a little bit. Dylan O'Shea jumping right down to the low line immediately. That's given Nigel Patton the top line at the moment. So that low line is where they want to be. Dylan O'Shea just having a little bit of a flicker there as well. That's not what you want on a super speedway, but they are all away clean at the moment, making it around the first corner without a caution.
Yes, definitely very good way to start. We've got a few, like I said, my screen is popping off with a whole heap of people dropping back in the field. But people like Steve Hoppett and stuff like that are coming off. But yeah, look, it's great to be racing again finally. Let's go to the blimp because it's really hard to see this whole field. But what a good start. What a nice clean start up front. Looks like we're going very well. I've got to order that correctly, so bear with me, people, while I do this.
Getting away cleanly at the moment. Somebody just getting a little bit wiggly. Raymond Yeager there just getting a little bit of a wiggle, just caught the apron a little bit, but managed to keep that car nice and straight. Meanwhile, Wade Sheedy just getting a little bit loose on the outside line as well. This is one of the things that is tricky now, is once you're in the race, you've got 42 cars out there, and it can really get tricky out on the track because you've got a lot of draft, you've got a lot of dirty air swirling around these cars, and all of a sudden, you might have had a run in practice where you've got 5 cars in a row, but when you've got 20 odd cars in a row, it makes things very different, and it can really throw drivers off. So these first opening laps can really be tricky. Just get used to. The cars get very loose as well. You can see them wiggling all over the place. And that's generally one of the hardest things to get used to when you're driving. You just have to get around that initial wiggle stage.
I'm very excited to see that the guys aren't pushing 3 wide early on. Now, we've seen some of that in the Thunder Series. Obviously, the Thunder Series is a development series, and it's something, it's a place for people to come learn. And they do push 3 wide. And you talk about that wiggle. That wiggle gets exaggerated when you're 3 wide. So these guys are doing really well. Bottom line is holding strong with Hamish at the front. The back line is sort of just holding. The outside line is sort of holding there. I would have thought they would have been pushing up a bit further than that, but they're happy where they are. This is the settler period. So we are seeing 2 distinct groups though. So I'm just trying to find the front of that back group.
Yeah, that backpack, I think Dave Douglas is leading it at the moment. Greg Spence no, that's completely the wrong group. Jamie Nankervis is leading that backpack at the moment with Matt Knight and Brad Allison towards the back there. So they've fallen back a little bit, which is not a terrible idea because if you get a big wreck up at the front, you can get a little bit of time to avoid it. That high line's not really working very well at the moment. The drivers aren't too confident working with each other. They're starting to fall into line now, though. Michael Skurlock's just sitting back there with Wade Sheedy and Norman Clark. So those guys, quite a bit of experience there. Luke Trahere there as well. Watch out for Luke. He's coming off a win in the Truck Series from Monday night, of course. So Luke Trahare's got a win here at Daytona already this week. He'd love to make it a double and possibly a triple if he can.
Yeah, there's no danger with these guys at the moment. They're just going to be sitting back. We'll get a yellow at some stage. If we go green, obviously, you know, the pits will play a part in this anyway. They'll get a little bit of time back up then potentially, but there's no danger in this group getting lapped at this stage. So they're just going to sit back, relax. Like you said, Matty Raymond will be the happy with this, just sitting back. If there's a crash up the front group, they can avoid that quite easily and not have to stress themselves. Because what's the biggest problem people get in Daytona, Carl, is that if you get damaged, you're pretty much non-existent in the race anymore?
Well, yes and no. You can get a little bit of damage on the front. Obviously, aero damage is effective here. If you get some damage on the front end, you get a bit of a crinkle. You are going to lose some top speed. But what you can do is hook yourself under the bumper of the car in front of you and just keep that speed up. If you get engine damage, that's your night effectively over. But if you get a little bit of a crinkle at the front and you can actually hook yourself up to the back of somebody else, you can still get a good finish here, but it's a lot harder. So any damage on these cars, it does make things a bit trickier. You generally want to try and keep the car as clean as possible. That high line is abandoning itself at the moment. There are cars leaping out from that high line at the moment, just leaving them high and dry. And you're going to see that high line start dropping back soon as well. They've already dropped back to around about ninth place, I think, on the track, maybe 10th. So they are falling back at quite a rapid pace. And with more cars dropping out there, that means less draft. That means less cars behind them, giving them a little bit less drag, and it makes it worse for them. So they're going to want to try and get a few people up there to work together and see if they can start pushing up towards the front.
It's going to go on board with Skurlock. Just he's second back in the actual outside line, just to see the wiggle and how dangerous it can be. It's only too wide at the moment. These guys are starting to push up, actually, as we go on board, and we see basically Skurly pushing... who's that in front in the racecraft car?
Dylan O'Shea.
Dylan O'Shea, pushing him back up to the front. They're doing a pretty good job now.
Yeah, no, it's Dylan. No, wait,
it's Wade Sheedy.
Wade Sheedy, there we go.
I finally found it on my thing. I just got to know where to look. But no, they're actually pushing right back up just as I go on board. So that's really good to see. So the top line starting to work. But you can see how much he's just struggling to keep it in the one spot there. And, you know, it's 3 wide, it becomes a nightmare. I'm just looking at that gap between 29th and 30th is what it actually is. It's actually grown out to 6 seconds now. So these guys are considerably slower considering the track they're in than the group up in front. And I'm just trying to work out what's going on there. It's actually at the 7 seconds now.
Well, they're broken up. They're racing each other and not working together, unfortunately. So that's really affecting that back group. And they're starting to get it now. They're starting to work more in a line, but they are pretty broken up at the moment. They've not got much. They're not working as close as they need to. That's something that's with Skurlock pushing up behind Sheedy there. You can actually see how close Skurly was. It's basically right underneath the rear spoiler, just that rear spoiler of Sheedy there. And that's given them that extra bit of push. Effectively, what that does is it turns the 2 cars into 1 car, so you get a lot less drag, and it makes everybody go quicker. So Skurly just pushing him along at the moment. Looks like somebody's dropping out of the pack already, and they're just having a bit of a drop down, possibly a moment of lapse of concentration there for Lachlan Urquio.
Yeah, it is. He's gone right back.
So I think he actually got a little bit sideways. Yeah, he lost a little bit of...
Do I try and get a replay of this?
He got sideways off turn number 2, and that's caused him to go off track. He's managed to get the car back on track. He's now in no man's land, so he's going to fall to the front of the rest of that pack. You can see him just cutting across the grass there, just about saving it. So he just gets loose just by that cone. So the entry cone there, you can see him starting to wobble.
He just gets on the apron a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah. And he's decided, rather than trying to keep it straight and possibly cause a big crash, he's taken that really big off track. It's cost him a lot of time, but it saved him crashing.
He's basically going to now fall into the clutches of that group behind very soon. He won't be able to keep up the pace to stay ahead of him, so he'll drop into them and just hope for a caution at some stage to get back up to the front. There's some pretty interesting people down there. Like I said, Matthew Raymond's back down there, Gary Wellman, a few other people down there in that second group.
Jumping to the front, Wilco, quickly. Sheedy has got a good run at the moment for the lead. Scully trying to push him. Scully, I think, is starting to struggle with a bit of overheating issue. You can see him really getting it out of line because he is pushing hard. Wade Sheedy is getting pushed extremely hard right now. You can see just how close it is from this rear camera inside Skurly's car there. That's how close it is. That Supra is really pushing hard. But the trouble with that is you're going to start overheating the car because you're getting the hot air from that car in front of you. So you have to be careful when you're pushing that hard. But he's trying to get Sheedy up in front of Gallagher to sort of block him off a little bit. And Gallagher wouldn't be remiss from actually getting Sheedy in front of him. If he can actually get a car in front of him, that's going to help his fuel mileage a little bit.
Front? Is that Tompkins is falling back into the leading pack?
I think that's Tim Weston. Weston, he has lost the pack, so he's going to drop down to the apron and let this massive battle pack get past him and then try and jump onto the back of that.
Yeah, so that is the trick. He's got to try and accelerate and keep up the speed to take on. Otherwise, he falls right back to the clutches of the group behind.
Oh, as we get somebody loose in the mid pack there. Jaden Russell, that wasn't Jaden Russell, sorry. Trying to figure out who that was. Sorry, lots of new liveries this season. It was Kai Turner. Kai Turner got loose, and that's broken up the back of this pack. So you can see the front pack has gotten away a little bit. That mid pack has completely broken up as Kai Turner just got a little bit loose, managed to save the car. Oh, a steady hand, Kai. And managed to keep that car in the right direction, but it has broken up that pack. And you can see now there's lots of cars all over the place, and that's going to really affect them.
Yeah, definitely. Wrong one. So that mid pack, though, they can come back together. It's just going to have to be some really good, close racing for this part. You can see more Skirley up front. Sorry, I'm having issues with my screen, but Skirley up front is still pushing Sheedy all the way around this track, which, yeah, like you said, I think Gallagher would be happy for one of them to get back down in front and help out. Now, obviously, you're the expert with ovals. Tyres don't make a difference here right now at all.
No.
Not on this. Not on super speedways.
Tyre wear is not really a big issue on a super speedway. I mean, it does make an effect, obviously, but you'll probably see if we get a caution now, they'll just go for fuel. You might see some people taking some tyres around about lap 70, lap 60, if we get a caution around about then. I think it's 64 lap race, I think. So we won't see him at lap 70. Around about lap 50, lap 60. If we get a late caution, you might see a few people just taking a roll of the dice getting tyres, but mainly fuel is the key here.
That second pack has settled down a little bit. You are looking at, it's still 9 seconds, which I think we were talking about 7 or 8 seconds a few laps ago. So,
as Aaron Dillon just has a big moment off the corner of turn number 4. Off on the tri-oval, actually. He's just had a big moment on the tri-oval. It looks like Dyson might have just given him a little bit of a nudge there, and Dillon just saving that car. Managed to keep it in the right direction, but that was almost a huge accident.
Yeah, sorry. There's a 13 and an 013. I got the wrong one. My bad. It happens. But yeah, so let's see if I can get a replay of it. No, yes, there it is. So
yeah, so it just looks like Daiso was just trying to bump draft Dillon a little bit, and Dillon wasn't quite expecting it, especially on the tri-oval section. When you're turning, it can really affect the car, and if it's unsettled, your car's going to go around. So that's what's happened there, unfortunately, and that has cost Dillon big time. Yes, Dillon dropping, actually coming into pit lane, so he has really dropped out of this one. So that's really affecting him. Meanwhile, up the front, it is Gallagher in the lead of this race, Sheedy on the outside, and those drivers behind are going to be pretty happy with this because the car in front is going to be using a lot more fuel than the cars behind it. So the reason for that is you don't have to go full throttle when you're driving in the pack. Of course, you can just go about 75% of the throttle, and that means you're using a lot less fuel, so you can go a little bit longer. And the longer this goes without a caution means the longer those cars in the mid-pack can go. They might be able to last an extra lap, even 2 laps. And if a caution comes out then, after everybody's green flag stopped, they're going to gain a huge amount of positions.
yeah, sorry for people watching that. I'm just trying to play around with cameras, trying to work out where things are. Look, this is predicted, Daytona, but what is not predicted is the lack of cautions, mate. Green flag racing, 17 laps into a 64-lap race. Do you expect this over the weekend when we do the 500?
I hope so. It is one of those things, is you do tend to get some long green flag stints here. If everybody's playing smart, which they are at the moment, nobody's really trying for free wide. Everybody's pretty much settled in at the moment. And that's a really good sign. That's just showing, again, good racecraft from everybody, because there's no point in hammering it hammering it too early. If you push too early, you're just going to end up losing the race. You can't win it in the first lap. You sure as heck can lose it.
Can I just comment? We'll be back watching the second group now, as Aaron Dillon is still in the pits. I'm not sure what's happened there, whether he's just pulled out altogether. But and we've got 131 is slowly coming off the pack as well. Steve Hoppett. So I don't know what's happened there, but he's going to drift back to that second group. But that second group, you can see the difference in how much you were talking before about the waving of the cars, how they get sideways a lot. This second group is exaggerating that. So there's obviously a few drivers that are not used to that dirty air.
Well, a lot of them are actually doing it to cool the car as well. That's the other thing is
Yep.
you get that wobble effect, but you also need to cool the car at this stage. When it's been 20 odd laps of green flag racing, these cars are going to start getting very, very hot, especially down in fourth, fifth in the line. Further in the pack you go, the hotter it is because you're getting hot air going through the first car in the pack, then the second car, then the third car. It just gets hotter and hotter as it goes down the line. And eventually you're just getting such hot air that your car overheats within a couple of minutes. So you need to step out of that draft, but you also need to stay in the draft. It is kind of a lose-lose situation, really. So that's why you'll see them just drifting down. The radiator on the car pretty central as well, so you need to sort of try and get that nice sort of cool air in the car as much as you can. A lot of the radiators are just for show, of course, the main one being just on the front of the actual car itself. You can sort of see when you look at them, there's a bit more of a silvery spot sort of in the center point just below the badges, and that's where the nice cool air comes in. The rest of it is just stickers.
I love stickers though. Let's just go back up the front here for a second. Seems like that top line is actually almost online with Hamish now, so we almost technically have a change for the lead coming up soon. Just early's. Does he want Luke Trahair to be on the back of him now, on back of Skurlock, pushing them all together to just try and get that front lead and drop down?
I think the Highline are pretty settled in at the moment. They're probably going to want to stay up there and not try too much. I think they're going to stick where they are rather than jump in front of Gallagher. There's not much point in leading the race if you don't have to. And they all seem pretty settled at the moment. Of course, saying that, we're going to see a mass exodus of drivers from that Highline just to prove me wrong. But once you get settled in a line as well, it's kind of good to stay in there, because if you keep chopping and changing your line, you're not only costing yourself speed, but you're also going to be driving on a different line. That can throw you out slightly, because the longer you stay on that low line, the more used to it you get. You understand where the rubber is, you understand how it's going to feel for the rest of the race. When you chop to that high line, all of a sudden the car's going to feel different. The tyre wear is slightly different on that high line. It's a slightly different feeling, and that can actually catch you out and cause you to crash the car.
You don't want that, especially when the cars are so close to each other. This backpack is 15 seconds away now, so something's happened down the back here. I haven't caught what it is, but they're now 17 seconds off the lead, where the person in 26th place is only 2 seconds off the lead.
The big backpack that we've got going on there it's just purely because they're not on the main pack. I'd say that's the main reason. They've just not got as many cars working together.
Yeah.
You also have to remember you've got the side draft happening as well. So if you're running a single line, you're not getting that side draft action too. So you're losing out a little bit on top speed. So for instance, I'll just...
Well, I've got here, we've got Kay Donnelly at the front of this pack now. It's 294, 295. You move up to Hamish Gallagher's going at 300 k's an hour.
Yeah. And that's the difference from the draft. That is purely because they've got more cars in this pack working together, and that's the difference it makes. It's a couple of miles per hour, but that's a big difference on a super speedway like this, and it just chews away at the time. Luckily, Daytona is pretty large, so it does take a bit of time for them to lose out completely, but they are more than a straight behind now, and that's sort of getting to the point where they need a caution to get their race back into effect.
Yeah, definitely. So basically this backpack is just sitting there hoping and praying, where the front pack is just, like you said, they're just keeping the cars cool. They're just trying to, keep it clean, and the race won't start till probably lap 55, I guess, with 9 to go. We are talking fuel is going to be a problem. I can't remember a car.
Yeah, we are. Dylan O'Shea just got very close to the apron there. Fuel, you'll be able to get, I think, about 30 laps, 25, 30 laps, I think, from memory, in the Xfinity car.
We are potentially seeing some green flag stops going to happen in the next little bit, which will be good.
Yeah, so we'll probably see Hamish Gallagher coming in the next 5 laps, I'd say. As I said, I've not done my testing. I usually will go out there for a few laps and get an idea of fuel mileage. But I think we're going to see some cars coming into pit lane. And I think we might actually be seeing somebody coming in right now. Nope, they just got out of the line. They've just made a mistake. But we will see the cars starting to look at pitting in the next 5 laps or so, 5 to 10 laps, I'd say. And as I say, it's going to be Wade Sheedy and Hamish Gallagher needing to come in first. Now, the issue for Sheedy is he's stuck up on that high line, and it makes it a lot harder to pit in, because to pit, you can't really just go, okay, I'm going to come in right now, because there's a big group of cars underneath you that won't really let you through. So you can get sort of hung out to dry sometimes, and that can be really, really detrimental to your race.
I just worked out, Twitch chat was talking about Skippy Race being in the standings, and I just worked out what they were talking about. It is fixed on my end. The NDI wasn't set up, and we are good to go. That is something I need to learn. I'll remind me. But so I want to quickly go back to that, talk about, especially about fuel. I love fuel. My experience with the super speedways is, let's say not Skirley, but let's say Luke Trahair there can be basically off the throttle 20-30% and still hold that speed with the draft.
Yeah.
Hamish Gallagher is going to be obviously hurt because of that, because he can't take his foot off at all. So he's going to need more fuel. Is that going to play into these pit stops? Are we going to see a huge difference there?
Well, if they all pit at the same time, there will be a little bit of difference in time. I mean, obviously, these things, the refueling on these cars is not super quick, but a couple of tenths of a second will make a big advantage for you. The main thing is, as I say, it's going to be the fact you can go longer. So you'll see the rest of the pack maybe go 1 or 2 laps longer. And if they can go 1 or 2 laps longer working together, then it's going to be very useful for them, because they keep up that speed. They keep up that 200 and almost 300 kilometers per hour. Whereas Hamish Gallagher is going to be lapping for a couple of laps at 280 kilometers per hour. And he's just going to fall right back off of this group, and then he's not going to have a place to slot into. So that can be one of the big things that makes a difference. The longer you can keep this pack running, the worse it's going to affect those people that stop early.
Yeah, so a lot to play out here. We're at about getting in on the halfway mark. We're just on board with actually Raymond Yeager down deep into that pack, and you can see how much looks like Patton in front of him is moving all around there, and you can just see on the outside, you'll be watching Sheedy come down a little bit and hoping you don't go too high, and if you grab the apron at this point, then you know that's where the crashes come from. But I wonder who's going to, it has to be Hamish goes first, doesn't it? Or is it one of the backpack? We've got number 15, 015 has just dropped off the pack as well. So driver info, we've got Campbell has just dropped off the crew, so he's going right back down.
Yeah, I think Brett Campbell might have made a bit of a mistake, unfortunately. So he's just had a bit of a moment going through the corner, and he's sort of dropped off the back of the pack, and he's just going to be hemorrhaging time now, unfortunately. So
quickly, we just touched on, I showed people before 300 k's an hour Hamish Gallagher was going at. Campbell on his own at the moment is sitting at 281. That's how much the difference makes when you're completely out of it. We saw almost 10 k's an hour difference between front pack and second pack, but that's on your own. You pretty much can't keep up with anyone.
No, this is the thing about the drafting. I mean, obviously, a fair few of your viewers are going to be used to the old skippies. So it's like when you get knocked out of, especially somewhere like Road America, you rely on that pack. You rely on keeping with the front runners to stay together, because as soon as you drop off, you can't really catch back up unless something major happens. And that's very much the whole point of a super speedway like this. As soon as you fall off the pack, that's it. You're almost done for unless a caution comes out. One car I do want to quickly look at is Chris Löfberg in the 19. Just a fantastic paint job on the Reclaim Creative Team car. The beautiful Daytona paint job on that thing. Absolutely fantastic.
Yes, definitely does. There's a lot of good looking cars out here, and I don't know why we've just lost the font on that little thing. It's supposed to say Battle Group, was going to show that, but yeah, it looks very, very nice. It's retro, isn't it? It looks really good. But
yes, it's great to see some of the new paint schemes coming out, and a lot of sponsors as well on these cars nowadays.
Yes.
There's a lot more sponsors in sim racing than we used to have, which is great to see. That front pack is starting to get a little bit wild now as well. They're starting to need to get more and more air as well. We're seeing a lot of movement throughout the pack. We're still what about 25 cars strong on this lead pack at the moment. So that's how big that lead pack is. It's you sort of see it and you go, oh yeah, there's quite a few cars there. 25 cars strong at the moment. I think we might be seeing some pit stops shortly though. I got a feeling we're going to see a few of those cars coming in. You'll probably see teams that work together like Mitch Motorsport and Synergy. They might come in together and try and actually work it so they can come out and have a little bit of a pack forming.
Yep.
So they can actually get working out when they come out. You can see everybody trying to get that fresh air on those cars. They are desperate to get some clean, cool air in those engines because I imagine they are running pretty much on the red line right now.
They would definitely be that. So we're looking at a 47 lap around Daytona at the moment. 47.9, 47.7 is some of the faster laps we're doing currently right now. Just to give you an idea, 32 seconds K Donnelly is off the lead. Just about to catch Brett Campbell, which brings Brett Campbell back into that backpack. So we're over half a lap behind now. They are screaming for a caution back there. But at this stage, unless we see something silly in the pits, this clean racing from Thunder might continue when we could go all the way. I'm trying to commentate a curse these people, but I'm just not succeeding.
You've not yet gained the ability. You're still too fresh to commentating, Peter. It's yeah, you need to have a few years under your belt, build up the curses, and then you can do it.
That's it. So, what's your strategy? Like, I guess Daytona's different, where you get that big apron. Oh, gee, number 9, Dylan O'Shea in there blinking all over the place on my end, anyway. So that would be frustrating. Nigel Patton behind him, but. What's your strategy with going in the pits? I guess Daytona, like I said, you got a big, massive runoff area before you need to enter the pits. But slamming that brake on, getting it right without spinning the car, and then doing all that kind of stuff. How do you go with that, Carl?
Look, personally, I'm a bit of a chicken, so I would just keep it out there for an extra lap, just so I don't have as many people coming in at the same time. The issue you've got when everybody comes in at the same time is if somebody brakes a little bit earlier than you're expecting, you're just going to go straight into the back of them and get yourself a huge amount of damage. If you come in too early, as I said, you're just going to lose that pack completely and just fall off the pace. So sometimes being a little bit more cautious, coming in one lap later can pay off. And of course, if a caution comes out in that time, you're going to save yourself a huge amount of time in pit lane. So it's sort of erring on that side of caution can be good. I'm just glancing back to that second pack now.
Yeah,
as well.
I just saw there was a fair bit of stuff happening back there just then.
These guys are fighting it out. They are battling harder than the front pack at the moment, and this is costing them so much time, lap after lap after lap. They are falling back further and further. Meanwhile, the front pack's just got a little bit messy, actually. That top line is just completely disintegrating.
We've actually just lost someone off the back again. So, Brett, the other... oh, no, that's Brett Campbell's... no, he's dropped off the second pack.
Yeah, Brett Campbell, I think he's just gone down a bit further, so he's just fallen right off the back of this, so he's going to be struggling. That high line right now is desperate to get into that low line because they are wanting to get into a position so they can pit soon. I think you can see them trying to shuffle position, and I imagine those drivers will be busy talking it out over the radio, which reminds me I should have actually my comms on so I can listen to what the drivers are saying.
Yeah, so I turned that off, so I can't hear exactly what they're saying, but that top line's really dropping back, and obviously you can't enter the pits from top line. So
you can, but it's a bit of a taboo.
You can. You can see actually the person you were talking about before. So Chris Lefberg is. Oh wow!
Who's that background going around? Blue car in the background. Did not see who that was.
Here we go, Michael Schroeder.
So Schroeder having a big moment there. Not sure what happened.
The right thing.
So Schroeder there he just caught the apron. Just caught the apron on the exit of the trival section, and that spun him down and around. That was almost a caution. Luckily, it happened on the infield, so no caution flag for him. But he just tagged the apron a little bit too much, and he on the radio was just saying, I don't even know what happened there. The car just lost it. And I can tell you, he just caught a little bit too much of that apron, and it just unbalances the car. You get a little bit more air underneath the car, lifts it up a little bit, and then all of a sudden you're going to go round in a circle, make a big load of smoke, and that is your race done.
And he's actually come out just in the mid pack as well, the second pack.
Scully dropping down into the low line.
We have some pits coming up.
desperate to get into that low line at the moment.
I love Skirly's car. It always looks good. My Little Pony setup. I love it. He's a good guy.
I don't, wait till you see the cup car, Wilco. It's there's a beautiful face on the front of it with
Oh,
the
no.
handlebar mustache.
You don't need to see that. But we won't see the backpack run into the front pack until after pits, I assume. But obviously that's going to bring its own level of chaos to this thing as well. So what do you expect when that happens? Are they just going to fall through and try and fill in the gaps and sit at the back and actually try and keep up this time? Or they just go straight through and fall off again?
They're going to fall off again unless they can get a caution or they can break up this front pack. That backpack is pretty much doomed. Unfortunately, they've not got much they can do. If they, as I say, they're fighting pretty hard as well, which is not helping them. And with all that fighting, it just causes things to get a little bit more messy and just really affects them. Chris Lipborg has had a huge moment. I think he's dropped right down. I'm just trying to figure out what happened to him.
I've got nothing for you. I didn't see it at all. So you can see here number 41 is also pulled down. So Andrew Dyson's pulled down to that bottom line. It's pretty much left two people on their own out there in the top line. This whole field, and even now, you can see there is no top line anymore. Everyone is getting ready to pit. There is one long line of cars here. So,
oh, Lipborg got into the wall. So there we go. That's what happened. Just got a little bit wide, and all of a sudden he got up onto the high line and just didn't manage to get that car turning. So yeah, the front pack has formed in one long snake at the moment. So they are going to be looking at pitting soon.
They are coming around this turn. I assume we'll start seeing at least some of them popping in now just to get out of the way, I would say. We'll keep an eye on Hamish at the front.
You don't want to be the first to blink, though. That's the problem. If you blink first, you're going to lose the pack a lot. So they're going to want to try and come in together. If anybody sticks it out there, they're going to really struggle for speed. They're going to lose a lot of time. And it's just, as I said, it's as soon as you get out of that pack, as soon as you get out of that group, you're going to really struggle to get back into it. And, oh, who was that? That was Patton, I think. Sheedy just catching the apron, and that caused him to lose a little bit of time in front of Dyson. They managed to hold on again, but a lot of cars just getting a little bit sketchy right now, and they're just getting to that point where they're very light. The tyres are starting to get a little bit worn out. They'll be a little bit warm, and the drivers will also be a little bit worn out as well. You get to the stage of the race, especially when you're pack racing side by side like that, you get very tired because of the concentration factor, and it's very easy to make a silly little mistake where it looks like nothing, just touching the apron a little bit more than you expect, and all of a sudden you go round and you just go, well, how did that happen? A little bit like what we saw with Schroeder earlier in the race.
Yeah, look, at this stage too, what we're looking at, this front pack can see the backpack now as they're going around. That's got to be... Here they come. Here we go. Okay, so let's see pit stop show.
Gallagher in. Oh, Russell very late on the brake. Shady as well. Somebody on the grass. Lots of cars almost losing it in pit lane. A few people might be looking at speed and penalties there. Of course, these cars, they don't have speed limiters. So that's one of the big things on the oval cars. They don't have a speed limiter to them. So you've got to do it all by yourself. So it's very easy to get a speeding penalty. You've got to be really careful of pit entry as well, because obviously, as we saw there, it's really easy to make mistakes. I think Gallagher got out in the lead there, just in front of Jaden Russell, and has managed to actually help out his teammate a little bit in that Josh Micklemore to climb right onto the back.
Oh, we got cars crashing, have we?
We've got cars coming into pit lane, and we almost got a crash there. Dave Douglas manages to pull it up. So does O'Shea, really close there to having some crashes. Nigel Patton now, I think, leads the race.
Oh, I've got O'Shea still out there.
O'Shea's in the pit lane.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So Patton leads the race now. So this is that group of cars that were a bit further down the pecking order, a bit further down the pack. They've managed to save a bit more fuel. So they're going to split out one more lap now, come in, and they're going to try and get this working together. Now, meanwhile, you're going to have somebody like Hamish Gallagher and Josh Micklemore working together out on track as well. And they're just in front of this pack. As who is that going off on the grass? Michael, who was that? I saw a blue car going across the grass there. But quite a few people struggling to get into pit lane, and these things they don't have the best brakes. That was Glenn McLeod actually just absolutely locking it up, going onto the grass and having to. He actually jumped out of the car, so he didn't get a caution. So McLeod deciding to take the tow rather than cause a caution. Good on him.
Yes, definitely. This race is fascinating with 20 laps to go, which has come along so quickly. Trying to find my timing board is completely out now. But let's go look at Hamish because we know he came in front. He's currently 40 seconds off the lead, which puts him. This whole field is scattered right now, which is really good to see as well. So let's see what they. Oh, Hamish has had a bit of a moment there with
catching up to slower cars who are just exiting pit lane.
Oh, how did
it is going to get dicey here.
Reese May has somehow survived that coming off the apron right at the right second. But this is the scary part. This is the part we're talking about where the back crew has just run into the front crew and pits. So Micklemore sitting just nicely back there behind Jaden Russell and Hamish Gallagher. But that is Norman Clark in front as well. So he's from the back crew as well, is he?
Yeah, I want to look out for though is the yellow SRM cars just pitting in. Matty Ray just trying to get something working. He saved a lot of fuel there to get up there, but Norman Clark he has stopped. So Norman Clark working his way through the field nicely.
He is too. That's very well because Norman Clark is a veteran from ANZCAR from my memory.
He is.
Did I use the wrong word? Sorry, a person who's been around ANZCAR for a while.
Oh look, veteran is underselling Norman Clark. He's been around since the inception. Norman is one of our drivers, South African driver, a lot of experience, especially in rallying. And if you ever get a chance to talk to Norman over a beer about some South African rallying, especially in his BMW days, it is well worth it.
Yeah, definitely do. And he's always competitive. That's what I like about Norman. He's always willing to. He's just about in every ANZCAR race that I was in. He was in the Thunder, and he was backing up for the Cup Series the next night as well. And happy to just go around. Really, really good bloke. What are we seeing here, Carl? We got 18 laps to go here. Obviously, everyone's jockeying for position. Where do you want to be in this race? I know you just want to be in the race, but where do you want to be right now?
Well, preferably you want to be about third, I reckon. Second or third is the ideal place to be because that's going to give you a nice slingshot to the end. So leading this race can sometimes be a bit of a bad place to sit. So sometimes being second or third can work out very well and give you that opportunity. But right now they are coming across so many cars because of those pit stops. Everybody is scattered and you can see them 4 wide across the start finish line there. They are 4 wide around Daytona for a couple of moments there. But this is where it gets really sketchy because you've got cars on slightly cold tyres, you've got cars in fuel tanks, you've got people out of position, you've got people getting up to speed, you've got people up to speed. You've got Hamish Gallagher travelling at almost 300 kilometres per hour, coming up on cars that are travelling at around about 260 kilometres per hour. The closing speeds are ridiculous right now. And you can see, if you jump up to Hamish Gallagher right now, he has got a decent lead, but he's coming up to a lot of cars that are broken up at the moment, and that is going to cause a lot of trouble for him. He's got Jaden Russell just behind him with Josh Micklemore. We did see Micklemore and Jason Martin get together in the Truck Series race towards the end of that race and actually cause chaos. So he's not going to want to repeat of that, Mr. Micklemore. Obviously, teammates working very well together, but sometimes mistakes do happen, especially when you're travelling well over 300 kilometres per hour.
Let's have a look on Hamish's front nose as he comes up onto these cars. So we just passed one. He's got 3 more coming up. These guys do get on the comms, obviously. You're listening to it, but how nice do these guys play in front?
Look, they're racing position. The thing is, there's no blue flags in oval racing. Matty Hunter there just absolutely getting out of the way. He's decided to be very, very kind. Matty Ray is sort of working quite well. He's able to... He was working quite well with Finley, but it's broken up now, and they've just lost a huge amount of speed. So they're down to around about 280 kilometers per hour, while Gallagher is at 305. So that's the difference in closing speeds right there. And you can see him just flying past. But the veterans will tend to get out of the way. They won't make it too hard. But sometimes you'll see the odd person just trying to hook themselves up to this lead pack, sometimes even getting onto the lead pack and working their way up through the field, just so they can stay the first car in line, just in case we get a caution. Because, of course, if you do get a yellow in oval racing, you get what's called the lucky dog. And that means that you can actually get your lap back, get on the lead lap, and potentially get yourself a win.
Yeah, well, Lockie's in that current position now. I've got 19 cars still on the lead lap. There's still 19 cars that can win this race with very 15 laps to go. So we're into that final stage now. Jockeying position. Are you surprised we're not seeing two lines right now? The track looks fairly clear in front of these guys at the moment.
I think we're going to see a second
we are
line
seeing
forming.
it now.
Yeah.
Although that's
especially
the
with those
slower
black
cars. They're the slower cars.
Well, remember they might be a lap down, but they're still just as fast. There's
Yes.
no damage on those cars,
No.
so this is where you can actually use those lapped cars to your advantage. And I think it's one of the it's just trying to see who that is. Actually, it's one of the it's Gary Wellman there. He is trying to lock up down. He's got teammates in that group as well. He's a lap down at the moment. But if anybody links up to that high line, they might be able to get a few positions and make this work out for themselves.
So quickly, we're looking back in the pack. There is a fairly yellow flag is out. What have we lost?
We've got a caution. Big accident. JCW involved in that one as well. I think Luke Georgeson as well. So Luke Georgeson, Reese May, I think, and JCW involved in that incident.
Let's have a look. We are full track caution. So let's have a look. I've got Christopher Finlay. No, I want to go to that one. There we go. So 67.
67, Reese May. I'm just going back to have a little look at it. So
yeah,
Reese
he's got on
May's
the apron, and then he's
yeah,
got Joshy is then unfortunately.
JCW's gone round. Luke Georgeson, nowhere to go. Neither. Who was that in the background? Somebody lost the whole front end of the car. Steve Hoppett, unfortunately. Hoppett's engine is gone. So he's trying to get around now. And the trouble is now is Hoppett is he's trying to get to the pit lane and get there.
I want to quickly go back and watch Hoppett from is it Hoppett or is it 214 in front?
Hoppett is the one that got.
Okay, let's have a look for him on board with him.
Unfortunately, veteran of the series, Steve Hoppett, nowhere to go in this. So you can see in front of him that accident happening. He thinks about going to the high line. He thinks that's where it's going to be safe. But then, unfortunately, JCW gets speared right up there with Luke Georgeson. And that causes that accident to happen. All of a sudden, there's smoke in the way. Nowhere to go. Hoppett on the brakes, but nothing you can do in that situation. And it is just a big accident going that way.
Yeah, definitely. That's a lot of bad luck, and that is what Super Speedway is all about, is avoiding that bad luck. That's the only way you get those wins. So we don't want to see Hoppett in the pits anymore. Let's go back to yellow flag racing. What do we expect about just on 10 laps to go when this all is said and done? Obviously, that second group that I was just starting to talk about that had dropped 12 seconds off the lead has got the reprieve they wanted. It was Mirko, Luke, and Skirley, and even Norman Clark had all dropped about 10 seconds off the lead, and now they get that free bump back up to the lead pack, and we see this pack behind getting around to try and catch up as well. So all 19 cars that are on the lead lap should be almost together, ready to go.
It'll be 20 cars on that lead lap because Lachlan Upke gets that lucky dog in the dog box racing entry.
We have seen a few people drop into the pits, Carl. So the strategy there is just get some fresh tyres for the end. What's the go? Well, that is people in the accident. You reckon that's all that was?
There's people getting some repairs done. So quite a few people had some damage before that. So people like Dave Douglas and Michael Skurlock both had some damage to the front of their cars. So they're going to get a quick repair done. Chuck some new tyres on there and just throw a Hail Mary. They are a lap down though, so it's not really going to be much help to them. But you never know. There might be another caution and they might get back on the lead lap and something may indeed happen. So it's it's all about sort of trying to get in the right position at the right time. You got to say, Hamish Gallagher has driven almost a perfect race so far. Really, really leading pretty much the whole thing from start to finish.
Yeah, so I'm just quickly looking at his speed at the moment. So how much? Explain to the listeners, especially those Skippy drivers out there. They're going 300 k's an hour all race, and you're side by side. What do you do in this period where you're going 130 k's an hour? You are just relax. Are you relaxing? Are you planning? Are you talking? Are you drinking? What are you doing?
Generally at this stage, so the first time the pace car comes out, you want to get hooked up. So that when the pace car comes out, you've got to get up to the pace car, sit on it. In ANZCAR, we actually have the rule of if you go too slow, if you drop back too many car lengths, you will actually get a penalty. So that's another thing as well. You have to keep in mind. You have to get up close to each other. Make sure you're not blocking anyone, not impeding everybody, keeping up to speed, yada yada yada. Once you get to this stage right here, you generally will have a quick drink of water if you've got some by your side, have a little stretch, have a little bit of a look on your dashboard, see what's going on with the fuel, see what's going on with tyres, maybe have a quick chat to your teammates. A lot of drivers will just quickly look and see what's going on around them as well, see if they can work out who's there and who's not. Maybe if they're in the same Discord, chat about who's around them, try and work out a little bit of strategy. Right now, what's going to be going through the mind of those drivers is Hamish Gallagher and Josh Micklemore are going to be sort of rubbing their hands with glee because they're both on the low line. So they're going to be talking strategy about this restart. So you'll probably see Hamish counting in the restart. Of course, no rules against that. It is on the leader. So he'll be able to get Josh Micklemore on his back. So hopefully those two can keep nice and close to each other. Jaden Russell on the outside there is going to have to keep an eye on Hamish not to jump the start, try and actually keep up with those two cars. And he's going to have to hope that outside line works with him. There's a lot of cars out there that he's not worked with before as well, and that could cause some problems for him. So it's just trying to figure out who's close to you, who's not, and what you're going to do. And as you say, it's a lot of work that goes through the brain right now.
What? So let's look back to Luke Trahar, right? Sitting in 10th right now. He's got 9 laps to go once he goes. What's he doing? Is he pushing to the high line, pushing a third line at this stage? Do you do that with 9 to go? What's the plan for him?
I'd say Luke will stay on that low line for a little bit. He'll see what happens on that high line. See that if it drops back towards him, he's going to jump out on it and try and get on the lead of that pack. If not, then he'll just sit there. He'll just wait and see what's going on. Wait till the final couple of laps before he starts doing a bit of a run. So pace car has come in. We're going to go back to green flag racing.
Just quickly in chat, one of the drivers, Mr. Dyson, says that he does star jumps while this is going on. So I don't know how that goes.
Of course, Daiso is the master of the star jump, of course, and that is his that's his tactic for keeping fit during races. I hear Dyson has lost 150 kilos throughout the racing series.
That is great. So we've already seen that the top line is pushing up now, which is good to see. There's a bit of a gap there, though. I thought there'd be a bit, especially that mid pack of the front pack. They're the mid of the front pack. Sorry, they're splitting up a little bit, but top line there with Raymond Yeager. Really doing some good work there, combining with who's that number on the outside of him, Nigel Patton, I think. Yeah,
it was a bit of a slow start in all honesty. So it looked like it was a bit of an odd restart really. It gave a little bit of room for Jane Russell to get down on the inside and actually slot in between himself and Micklemore. So Jay Russ is down there with Micklemore and Gallagher right now, and they're going to be working together. Yes. We know that Synergy and Mitch Motorsport are friends, so they'll be sort of chatting it out, and that's put Raymond Yeager right on that outside line now, with Nigel Patton just behind him, with Mirko Dornat. So they're going to see how this goes, see if they can actually work this line together, and there's Skirley sitting there as well. He might be a lap down, but he's sitting there at the moment. Just so that caution comes out, that might work out very well for him. So it's all thinking about that. You can see Hamish is just coming up a little bit to block that high line a little bit. Just moving up there with 8 laps to go. He's trying to make it so Raymond Yeager doesn't get a chance to make a run on him. Because if Yeager gets a run and gets slotted in front of him, he could potentially get this race won. So you're going to see Hamish Gallagher just trying to slide up a little bit, put the high line off a little bit, see if he can keep in this position.
Yeah, because once he gets in front, he's box seating basically to the end. Until we get a third line and we see what happens there. I suspect in a couple of laps we'll see a third line come out, but you can see there that Jaden, that's 90, that's Nigel Patton's all over the back of Raymond Yeager, not keeping it straight at all.
No, and that's going to affect their speed a little bit as well. They want to try and keep these cars as close as possible. But as I said, the more you run like this, the hotter they get. And you can see right now,
in front, he's
Raymond
getting there.
Jaeger's getting a beautiful push. Patton is pushing Jaeger as much as he can, but he can't quite hold it there. He is really trying to get the push going and seeing if he can get Jaeger in front of Gallagher. But they're not quite working together as well as they need to.
Yeah, and they really need Mirko back there as well, just pushing him along. Those three, as you said, working together perfectly at the moment. You can see how straight those cars are in a line. They're working. They've got this in the bag at the moment, unless those other three work together on the outside. Gurley, self-confessed, doesn't know how draft works at all.
As we got a car around in the background. Big accident in the background. It is Stevie Dub that's gone around.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Huge accident. Stevie Dub just caught in the middle of the line, gets caught by Clark, I think it was. Gets caught by Clark, and round he goes. And a big accident in the background there.
That's 3 wide. That's what's happened. Stevie's in the middle, and 96 just pulls up on him and pushes him around, which then Gary Wellman, everyone is basically a passenger there.
Yeah, and as I said, the big one has come, and at these super speedways, that's what happens: is you get the big one, and it is a big old crash, and that is a lot of cars caught up in that. That's pretty much half the field wiped out there. A lot of drivers are going to be struggling home now. Of course, they will try and make it home from here, just for the points and things like that, because you do still get points all the way down there. But
we're on board with Stephen Clark here. Just quickly, I just want to have a look at this one. This is the actual. So it doesn't look like. Almost looks like Stevie Dub's come down on him from that. I don't know. It's hard to tell from that camera angle.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky. I think Clark. It just looks like Stevie Dub was a little bit caught out there. So you see, they get very close to each other, and
Stevie Dub is getting a very good run here too.
Line, and you'll just see Clark drifting up the track.
Yeah,
and so Clark's just not quite turned that wheel enough. So he's left the wheel a little bit open there, and no fault of his own, because I think he wasn't sure how close Stevie Dub was there, and it just caught him out a little bit. So it's one of those racing incidents, unfortunately. But yeah, very frustrating when things like that happen. Meanwhile, Dave Douglas has got back onto the lead lap. He is busy driving that casting couch round at enormous speed to get himself back onto the back of the pack and see if he can get a good finish out of this one.
So what's your prediction here? 5 laps to go. What are you going to get? 3 laps of racing? Green, white, checker? What are we getting?
I think we're going to get a couple of laps of racing, then we're going to get a huge stack, and we might get a green light checker, but I think we might get home green. I reckon we're going to see an accident on the white flag lap.
Just watching here, Davey Douglas trying to build around from the stands, trying to catch up to that group ahead. He's about half a lap behind here, so if I bring up this, you'll be able to see he's 31 seconds, but closing that gap really well.
Yeah,
I love this view. This is a great view. Why didn't I find this one before?
It's a beautiful view. Not much you can say. They look a bit like ants at some distances, but I think this is the spotter view. This is effectively what the spotters would be seeing at the racetrack. So when you're actually part of the team racing in NASCAR or IndyCar or kart back in the day, you'd be standing at this spot with a pair of binoculars talking to your driver going, car high, car low, tell them what's going on, and you would have to watch from this distance to see what's going on. It's an amazing talent and skill these guys had. Spotting is one of those things.
We got to interview the Stig over on Twitch. Go check out the Stig on Twitch. He's an ex-spotter from NASCAR himself, and he was the stories he was telling of what he had to do to actually keep a control of the race is phenomenal. And yes, doing it all especially on tracks like this in Talladega, he was saying it's just chaos, and you just got to do your best. But these guys are lining up 2 wide, so we're a lap to go now as we cross the start finish line. So we will get a couple of laps in. You reckon one more big crash is what we're expecting?
I am. And was it Perry McCarthy's stick, or was it I'm trying to think of the other one. Let's see. Ben Collins.
Questions. It's like a year ago now. Go check out Locked On iRacing podcast on your favorite app of choice. We haven't even plugged ourselves the whole race. This has been
No,
chaos.
exactly. Get the plug away. We've got a little bit of time before that postcard drops in. Got a bit of a straight.
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, I personally, we're recording right now with the rest of the team over there, Locked On iRacing Podcast. Been talking about lots of cool stuff. We are on Spotify, we're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Go rate and review us. Locked On Lads on Facebook. If you want to go check us out over there, give us a like on there. We're trying to get the likes and the follows up, so we can get a little bit more exposure over there. But the team's doing really well with Locked On Racing. But we do chat about all kinds of cool stuff. We get the one and only Carl Withy on there to talk about ANZCAR for a good 5 minutes. So you get that. You get Alex McKellar, who talks about Sunday Night Lights on there, in one of the best voices in the business. You also get Raymond Yeager, who's up the front here. He talks about the Australasian Supercar E-Series as well, gives a wrap-up of those. So if you are looking for the most comprehensive wrap-up of results and news in the Australian community for iRacing, it is the probably thing you've got to do. So was that it? We almost got time to go now.
We are getting ready to go. It is going to be Hamish Gallagher leading away here at Daytona for the Xfinity Series. Gets a good start on that low line. Raymond Yeager on the high with Nigel Patton behind him and Mirko Dortnack there with Skirley there a lap down, but up in this race. Skirley can make this happen. Luke Traher jumps to the high line at the moment, so that high line looking to try and push at the moment, but the low line's got it locked down. 2.5 laps of racing here at Daytona to go. Who's going to take out the victory? It's going to be a close finish. Got to say, Hamish Gallagher has led a fantastic run so far, but he is in the danger zone now. Leading this race is not the best place to be. Highline getting a good run. Raymond Yeager up there getting a very nice push from Patton at the moment. Will Russell be able to push Hamish Gallagher to victory right now? Luke Traher jumping down to the low line, seeing that high line's not quite working. They're looking at a third line at the moment. Not the best time to do it, because you're going to start struggling a little bit unless you get a good push, and Skirley looks to be pushing Mirko Dortnack pretty hard. 2 laps remaining in this race. We're almost to that white flag. It is getting very close.
Yeah, I think Skirley's keen to get that third line going, and Mirko's going to oblige here, going around the outside of turn 1-2, and looks
like Luke Traher's joined that line as well. So Traher up there in the way down podcast entered machine. Nigel Patton is really trying to push Raymond Yeager at the moment, really doing hard. Same for Russell and Micklemore at the moment. They've got a nice pack of cars to help them out though. But we've seen here that run to the finish can work out quite well. If you can get a good run off that final corner, it can work out well for you. White flag out this time around. Who is going to be taking the victory in this first round of the ANZCAR Xfinity Series here on Locked On Lads TV? Who's going to get it?
Oh, he's got him. I was about to say.
Touches Micklemore. Micklemore manages to save it, but it's going to drop back. He's going to not find a place there. That's going to hurt the low line. They've only got 2 cars to do it. Russell looking down on the inside as the mellow yellow car goes round. A big incident there. We've got a huge wreck. Luke Traher rolling over. That's going to affect that low line. Raymond Yeager has got a great run at the moment. He is being pushed by Patton as hard as possible. Mirko Dortnack getting a good run here as well. Who is going to get this race win? It's going to be close. Russell pushing along. Hamish Gallagher. Patton doing all he can, but is that enough? Mirko Dortnack going to push that low line as well. Reese May down there too, but it looks like it's going to be Hamish Gallagher getting this victory today at Daytona for the Xfinity Series. Who's going to come home second though? It is Jaden Russell second, Raymond Yeager third, Reese May fourth, Nigel Patton fifth, sixth for Mirko Dortnack. Maxi Marshall comes home seventh in his debut.
Still more crashes going on in the background too, as we're not even crossing the finish line.
That's going to be one to unpack.
We'll have to try and get some replays of that
in a few moments. Ruben Phelps ninth, Joshua Carroll Walden 10th in that one. But let's go back and see if we can see what happened on that penultimate lap.
Oh wow! Okay, so let me do this. So drone, let's just go back.
So that pretty much kicked itself off when Micklemore got caught by Patton.
Was Micklemore, wasn't it? So
yeah, Micklemore did a great save, but couldn't really get back on track because he had O'Shea on the outside. He comes back on, manages to save the car, but then we get a secondary crash a little bit further up the field.
So we got Micklemore here. Patton was all over the place, which is what I was going to say. I was going to butt in and say I'm worried about this. That then, he knocked him back on. So where did he slot in? Who was the next point of the problem. Oh,
So
there it is,
Greg
right
Spence
there.
is what happened. So Greg Spence got up onto the side draft, and I think it was a bit of net code actually for Greg Spence.
Yes, it
It
did
looks
very
like
much look like that.
he had a bit of net code, got pushed down, and then all of a sudden he had nowhere to go. He bounced down on the infield and bounced back up on the track, and that caught Luke Trahair, caught the O'Shea as well. Luke Trahair went flipping around. I think we need to see an onboard of Luke Trahair as well at some stage if you want to if
Yeah.
you want to keep your dinner down, maybe look away from that one.
Yeah, don't
But
look at
that
this
big
in
incident
VR,
was Greg
people.
Spence.
Extra hair on board gyro. Let's go. Let's have a look at this in full pace, and then we'll go back and look at it in slow mo.
Up he comes, and then nowhere to go. And then around and round like a washing machine, Luke Trahair tumbling through the air, manages to save the car though. And that was the end of that one. But
Like I said, let's look at that
was...
from the outside, just quickly, in full pace. Yeah, it just seemed to be a netcode there. I guess they were close to each other, but it just pushed, and then he's just lost it on the apron, which is, yeah, that was the end of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the trickle back effect there, you can see it's just there's nowhere to go. When you're traveling at that speed, it's very hard to dodge cars, especially when there are so many cars all over the track.
Yeah, definitely. So I need to find the results. Let's show the results as we go there. So you went through it as we crossed the line, but let's do it in a little bit slower motion now.
But see now, you asked me
We've
something
got a lot of
difficult now
people
to
here in the
describe.
interview room, by the way, wanting to be interviewed. So yeah, we'll get them on in a
Oh,
sec.
look. We'll grab up the top three once we are through this. So first place, Hamish Gallagher leading this race from start to finish almost. Fantastic job from Gallagher, defending champion. Jaden Russell comes home a strong second. Raymond Yeager in third position. Fourth, we have Reese May, 27th to fourth position. Great run for him. Nigel Patton comes home fifth. Mirko Dortnack, another strong finish tonight in P6. Maxi Marshall on debut for ANZCAR from 20th to 8th position at the 500 at Daytona. Sorry, Ruben Phelps coming home in 8th position. 9th for Joshua Carroll-Walden after getting a big smack earlier on in the race. Good job for him to come home in 7th position after so much damage on that car. He'll be pretty happy. Sorry, 9th position. He'll be pretty happy with that. Chris Lefborg as well. Again, coming home after an earlier incident. Then we drop back to P11 at Norman Clark. Dylan O'Shea, Michael Skurlock in 13th, 14th for Quio, 15th for Spencer, 16th for Douglas, 17th for Trahair, Stephen Clark 18th, 19th for Matt Knight. Kai Turner comes home in 20th position. A little bit further down, we have Micklemore coming home 21st, unfortunately. Really strong race, but that tap really cost him at the end. Brad Allison home 22nd, 23rd for Campbell, Hobbs 24th, 25th for Wellman, Nicovis 26th, 27th for Sheedy, 28th for Georgeson, Hunter 29th, 30th for Tim Weston. And then we drop back to Stevie Dubb, 31st, 32nd, Chris Finley, Schroeder 33rd, 34th for Raymond, 35th for Donnelly, 36th for Koch, 37th for Hoppett, who unfortunately got taken out early. Daiso down in 39th, some 22 laps down after that early incident. Glenn McLeod 39th, 40th for Dylan, and finishing off 41st is Noddy Tompkins.
Okay, so we're going to quickly just grab someone. We're just going to quickly do a transition, and we'll be back in about 20 seconds, hopefully. Let me transition into this. We are live. How you going, Raymond Yeager?
Hey, how we going? Doing well.
Congratulations on a very hard-fought race and finishing third. What did you think of the last 5 laps?
So, mate, it was pretty hectic the whole way through, to be honest. Daytona is obviously side by side, nose to tail the whole way, and it was pretty intense. The car got a little bit loose when you're following, when you were surrounded by cars. So yeah, it was good, but hard work.
Now, Carl, I know you want to ask him the big questions. What tea does he like? But what else have you got for this young Raymond Yeager?
Well, first of all, it's good to have you back up here in the booth, Raymond. It's been a while since I last saw you.
Yeah, it's been far too long, mate. But glad to be back. I'm actually decent in these Xfinity cars, and I finally get to run them. So much better than in the Cup cars.
Yeah, well, the new Cup cars are a bit different as well, so things are definitely changing. But it's good to have you back here in ANZCAR. Obviously, a really strong finish tonight. Are we going to be seeing you for the rest of the season? Do you think?
Yeah, that's the plan. I've got Wednesday nights free now, so I should be able to compete every weekend, well, every Wednesday, which is good because, as I said, I enjoy the Xfinity cars and want to try and knock Hamish off, but it's a tough gig.
It's easier said than done actually getting Hamish off that top spot, but you almost did it tonight. We saw Patton giving you a really good push there towards the end. Did you think it was possible just to get that P1 tonight?
Uh, we peaked a bit too early, unfortunately. We peaked down the back straight instead of the front straight. So once we sort of dropped back behind from there, I thought we're probably not going to get back. But we tried to get as close as to Hamish as we could to try and get some side draft and stuff. But look, he's a class act, and then Jaden did a great job pushing him as well.
No, congratulations on that top three finish. A great way to start off the season here in Thunder, of course. Before I let you go, though, the usual things of love and shout out to sponsors and people in general.
Yeah, thanks. As I said, a perfect start, really. So, yeah, there's a lot of sponsors to thank for this. We've got My Private Seller on board, Ray White Rule Gander, Sim Racing Edge, Witcher Electrics, 186, Speech and Language Development Australia, and CarWorks as well. So without all those guys, it'd be a lot harder to do what we do. So thanks to all of them, and obviously the boys at the Pinnacle Esports Racing Team. Greg Spencer, Nigel Patton, Justin Witcher, and Matt Patton make getting on here enjoyable. So thanks.
Congratulations. It's a pleasure to have you back up here, and it's a pleasure to have you back here in such good circumstances, Raymond. We hope to see you again in the future.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks. Hopefully I'll be back.
Thanks again, mate.
Okay, so next up we will
But
grab
that, it
up
worked perfectly. I just did a transition and it worked fine. I can't give you a screen share because it ruined all these overlays. I'm really sorry.
Oh no, I don't need a screen share now. Like what we had in the race was fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Let's
Yeah.
bring down the next person. Who you want to bring in?
So we'll get Raven, yeah, Jaden Russell in next. So let's grab down Jaden Russell, Synergy Esports P2 finish tonight. Congratulations on a very strong race, Jaden Russell.
Yeah, thanks. It was good fun tonight. Lots of clean racing as far as it goes up the front anyway. I'm not so sure about the back, but we didn't have many yellows. It was good fun.
No, it was a surprising lack of huge crashes, which is always a nice thing. We saw you working very well with the Mitch boys tonight.
Yeah, it was all in Discord together, sort of trying to work together to keep to the front, and it paid off for us. Hamish got the win there with good push. It was a shame for Josh to drop out there. I'm not sure what happened, but things happen, so.
Yeah, a little tag just a little bit further down, unfortunately, and that sort of broke up the free car power trip that was going on that bottom line. Did you think about possibly trying to jump up to that high line and see if you could get the win, or were you solid and happy with P2 tonight?
The plan was Josh to push me up behind Hamish and then for me to jump at the top and try and get the 1, 2, 3. But obviously, with what happened to Josh, it didn't work out that way. So I was just happy to try and push Hamish to the win.
Well, it did work out well. And I mean, as you say, Hamish got the win. So not a bad result there, all in all. And not a bad start for your 2022 Thunder Series either. P2 here at Daytona. Not a bad place to finish.
Yeah, surprised me. Best finish I've had on the super speedways so far, so it's good.
I think that's the important thing to say so far. I can see some speedways and super speedways finishes coming better in the future, Joan. Every time you come out, you seem to be quicker and quicker.
Yeah, I hope it keeps going in that direction. Got the Cup Series coming up, so that'll be a big one again. Hopefully do the same thing. It'd be nice.
No, well, good luck for the rest of the season. And we're going to be seeing you a bit more at Thunder this year, or are you sort of looking for the championship in the Thunder Series, or are you just going to be sort of splitting your focus between the different series just this season?
At this stage, I'm going to try and do season 1 in all the series, commit to a full Cup Series. So we'll see how that goes in the coming weeks. But yeah, that's a plan.
No, congratulations on a very strong showing tonight. Really good speed out there. And before I let you go, anything from you, Wilco?
Yeah, look, I just want to know how chaotic was it in that middle pack behind Hamish? How much did you just want to punt him off the track? I know. And tell us.
I wasn't ready to punt him, but coming through them lap cars after the pit stop was crazy. He's trying to yell at us in Discord which way he's going, and this car's going everywhere. It was pretty crazy for a cup race, for a plate race, sorry.
Did you have any strategy around that pit? We were talking during the thing that you didn't want to be the first one to go in or anything like that. Was that the plan though? The way it fell out, was that exactly what you wanted to do?
It wasn't the plan, but Hamish was out of fuel, and we decided to go with him and try and keep us all up front, and it worked for us, which is good.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, thank you so much, Jaden, for your time. Who do you want to thank? Did I do that? I've missed that. I was trying to read other things.
Yeah, just obviously you guys for putting the broadcast on. It's pretty good to see. I was worried we wasn't going to get one there for a while, but yeah, it's good. Everyone at SSR, Hubbo is going to jump in for Cup Series, I believe, which would be good, and all the Mitch Motorsport guys.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for racing tonight. I assume we'll see you on the weekend, and I'll try and keep up with you on the track. But yeah, have a really good week and good luck on the weekend.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Jaden Russell there.
And now we get the race winner. I assume you're going to drag down.
Yes, we're going to grab down Mr. Hamish Gallagher. So, welcome back to the broadcast booth, Mr. Hamish Gallagher. Congratulations on winning the first Thunder race of 2022. Great drive there from yourself, and a well-deserved victory.
Thank you, Carl. Good to hear your voice again. Didn't think I was going to hear it at all this year. There's no broadcast, only for the Cup. Yeah, no, it was okay. I don't really know what happened in the race. I was out front for most of it. But seemed to be pretty clean at the start, and it must have been got a bit messier at some points. But yeah, no, it was a good race.
Yeah, you barely got to check out anybody's bumper tonight. You were pretty much stuck out on front, just looking at the beautiful track of Daytona.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of forget how boring these races are when you're out front. But yeah, no, we had a few moments there after our pit stop, or the cars coming out of pit lane. But no, it was a great job from both Josh and Jaden. We worked well tonight, and we got a result. Unfortunately, Josh got pipped out right at the very end there. But yeah, we're looking on for a 1-2-3 for most of that race. So it's really good.
Yeah, what was your plan coming up to that final stage there? Obviously, we saw in the trucks the other night, Jason Martin getting pipped to the post, unfortunately. It can be a bit tricky leading Daytona, can't it, on that last lap? Sometimes it's not the best place to be.
Yeah, that's right. But I think the truck's a bit worse because they suck up really good, the trucks, so you get huge runs. And for some reason, whatever changes iRacing have made, they're really sketchy now. Like you get right to someone's bumper and you just spin like a top. So we saw that a few times on Monday night, where these are a little bit more stable. So yeah, Jaden was able to keep his foot in it, and he was on my bumper and pushing me on that last lap. And Nigel was doing the same to Raymond outside. So yeah, it was good to have that little fun race at the end there.
That went well, and obviously the pit strategy as well. You made a good call coming in together as well, and that worked out towards the end for you. Just having the extra couple of cars coming out with you just helped keep the speed up, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a team effort as always at these plate races. So yeah, Jaden was helping us out. It's just me and Josh tonight. So it was great to have him as a teammate, or as an effective teammate, to help. And yeah, no, we paid off.
And I've got to correct myself. It's Danny G, not Jason Martin. No, so yeah, the other Mitch Motorsport car.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Hamish, we were talking on the broadcast that the first yellow flag about lap 44. You know, you've been leading the race the whole way through to that point. What was going through your mind at that stage once you got that first moment to actually take the foot off the pedal and have a bit of a stress? What happened in that one?
Yeah, you're just trying to think how this is going to play out, because obviously we had a pretty good position there before that final caution, and then you just try to figure out who's in what lines behind you. So you figure out what you're going to do. We're going to try and get on one line, or we're going to try and control both lines. Who's going to be pushing us? So those caution laps go past quite quickly when you're trying to strategize things. But yeah, we managed to pull it off, so I'm really happy.
Yeah, definitely. So where's your mind at going into the 500 on the weekend?
Oh, I won't be in the 500 stuff. This is easy. I've got the win. Now I can relax. Yeah, no, I'll be watching the broadcast, cheering the boys on.
Okay, cool. And what's the plan for the rest of Thunder for you?
Thunder for me, I'm going for because there's a Matty Hunter's. It's quite cool how he set it up. We've got the individual championships, but there's the full year one as well. So that's what my goal for this year is, to try and win the full season championship. I'm not too fussed about the individual ones. I managed to get a couple of those last year, so it's a new challenge for me this year. So yeah, it's just about being consistent and getting these good results all year.
Okay.
Right.
I'll leave Carl finish this one off.
Yeah, look, and I think it's going to be a hard person to beat. You've had some fantastic drives in the Xfinity cars, Hamish, and look, I think we're going to see that for the rest of the season. You started off as you mean to go on.
Yeah, no, it looks like the competition's going to pick up this year. Seems a bunch of the other boys are going to be jumping in between DPR and Atari and stuff. So yeah, it should be a good fun year.
Hopefully so. We look forward to it. And before I let you go, of course, the usual shout out and love to sponsors and anybody you'd like to say hello to tonight.
Yep, big shout out to the Mitch Motorsport boys and the SSR boys. It was a great night for us tonight. We almost had a good night Monday, but yeah, we managed to repay things here tonight, and hopefully on Sunday this year will be our year if all goes well. Just big thank you to Finity Construction and Danny Stevens for the paint schemes for the boys this year. Looking pretty sharp, I reckon. So yeah, and thank you for you guys jumping on board for doing the broadcast. Always good fun listening to the podcast. And yeah, now it'll be cool to watch you guys as well at work.
You got to hear me twice as much a week. Sorry about that.
Yeah, as if like a 3-hour podcast every week wasn't long enough.
I think we're aiming for 4 hours this week. It's all good.
Oh,
at
God.
least next week when we recap the whole Daytona 500. Look,
Yeah,
thank you.
You're gonna need a few froties, I think, by the end of it,
I
mate.
think so. Oh, might need a divorce lawyer by the end of it too, but we won't go there. Look, thank you so much for your time, Hamish. Congratulations on winning the first ever broadcast of Locked On Lads TV, and obviously the first round of the season for Thunder. And we hopefully will talk to you many more times over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, same to you, boys. Thanks, Wilco. Thanks, Carl.
Everyone, see you, mate.
Hamish Gallagher there for Mitch Motorsport. So, Wilco, how did you enjoy your first broadcast?
I think I pressed some buttons and they worked. It wasn't that we we had the wrong top 20 up for the first half of the race, but that's okay. We got there. We understand now the things. I enjoyed talking for an hour and a half with you, which is always a good stuff. I still obviously have a lot to learn about everything, but I think everything went pretty well. It's a start. It's a starting point. It's definitely not as bad as I thought it would be. We've got audio. We got everything sort of smoothly. We're offering something different in the webcam pre and post show, which is, I think, it's a little bit more intense to do on my end, but it seemed to work. What do you think of the first broadcast from Locked On Lads TV?
Well, it went out and people could hear us and see us. So those are huge benefits.
They couldn't hear you at the start. We had to do the intro again, but that's okay.
I guess that's another benefit, in all honesty. And having to see me as well, I feel so sorry for everybody. I apologise in advance. It is a terrible fate to them all. But we are looking forward to the rest. I know, you've got to try and keep it PG. That's the hard thing sometimes. We are looking forward to the rest of the season, though. The rest of 2022, it's going to be a fantastic year, and a big thank you to Locked On Lads, because without you, we could not get this going. And again, from ANZCAR side of things, a big thank you for the podcast and everything like that. It's a huge, huge boon, especially for the old Australian side of sim racing. So we are very pleased to be on board with this one, and we look forward to the rest of the season.
Can I quickly shout out, this episode is going to have a really cool interview in it. So if you haven't, we're recording now. I'm not on it, but I have recorded a pre-bit. Tyler Bowen, we had a chat with him. He actually raced on the 12-hour on the weekend, about this 12-hour. Raced $700 or almost $700 for Beyond Blue. Not only that, raced the whole 12 hours by himself and won his split, which we believe was split 3 by 2 laps.
That is an impressive feat.
339 laps, and he self-confessed a setup that wasn't even as good as the Porsche that was the other Porsche that he was tailing in a straight that had damage on it. He had no damage, and he couldn't even keep up with the damaged portion of the straight because his setup was just about keep it straight, and it did, and it worked, and he raised money for charity, which is what we're all about. So check out that interview on the podcast.
That's an absolute winner. I look forward to listening to that. Of course, we'll be back next week at Auto Club for 75 laps around the Auto Club track. So looking forward to that one. Of course, looking forward to being back here on Locked On, or well, Locked On Lads TV, Locked On TV.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it, I don't care.
Yeah,
As long as you call it.
Wilco Vision.
No, we don't
Wilco
want that.
Watch. No, we'll look forward to being back. Been an absolute pleasure to call for this one, and we will see you all again next week. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope you enjoyed the broadcast and enjoyed watching us in the future as well.
Yeah, he tied it up perfectly. Thank you all. See you later. Bye.